Good evening, everyone, or good morning, depending on whether you're looking at this Sunday or Saturday night. This is Dr. Charles Clough from Church of Truth, Center for Awakening Consciousness. Glad to be a part of your home, and we like every week to be able to we're glad we can bring these thoughts to you, special thoughts. If you would like, we would love for you to contact either the church or myself. We would appreciate comments, suggestions, requests for prayer and help. And any donations would be considered a God-sent thing, and we would thank you for that very much. Let's begin with the normal prayer that we have. Gracious God, please leapfrog over the distances so those reading and listening receive this as if we're all together in our peaceful sanctuary. My message is not what I prepared actually for this weekend, but I was finding no peace at all because of all the things that are hitting us from different directions. The RNC this past week taking place at the White House, the hurricane in Louisiana and Texas, the strongest in 100 years, the coronavirus, and it's being ignored by the crowds at the White House. The very inappropriate overreactions of police to situations they could have diffused rather than escalated. And the views on the news coming from all political directions. All I mentioned come through somehow with divisive tones and implications. It's this overload of news that causes us to get kind of tired and sometimes fighting depression. I remember visiting my grandparents in the late 1940s and early 50s when my grandfather told me he would hate to be young and have to face what was going on in the world at this time. It's a good thing he did not see what's going on today. Or if he did, he probably would think about it like the youth do today. It's just how it is. And we deal with it and we'll be okay. That's how I felt about it when he told me those things. If we think about it, the world has never been so prepared to take on the challenges as it is today. We have more communication and more resources available than ever. And actually, I think there's less war inclination than any time in world history. War is too terrible now in world opinion, and no one likes to see its destructive outcome. Bad things done related to genocide and other human abuses are shown to the rest of the world in vivid display. I don't think any country today wants to look barbaric. What do we do with these conflicts about what is going on, though, inside ourselves? How do we keep from being pulled down when things going on are so frustrating to us, so against how we see the world could be? How do we keep good feelings about those who are trying to work some of these things through? How do we feel good about people that we know, family members and friends, who take positions that we kind of think are unconscionable? It's interesting to have seen Billy Graham's son pray for the RNC, and then to see Billy Graham's granddaughter, who can't understand how any Christian can even consider President Trump as someone to support. I wonder if they talk to each other. Do they get together for family gatherings? Do they go together in outings? We have to find ways to be close to people even when all this is going on. If we think of drama as being the best stimulant and vehicle for change, this is actually an exciting time we're in. Each of the major issues by themselves would demand a lot of our attention. Add them all together and bang, we are almost over our heads in stress-causing happenings. What do we do? One way to deal with such going on, everything that's going on, is to not think about it. Why think about it? The problem, though, we can't ignore because we can't ignore the mask we have to wear or the distancing we have to retain. When you can't go to a store or buy anything, even though there's a window without a mask, you can't ignore it. You can't just let it go. When the election is right on us, can we really ignore what we have to be aware of and acquainted with to vote intelligently? No. That means we have to be watching the news and listening to people as they give us a hint of who they are and what they're like. I say a hint because I'm not sure we ever really know. And how does the spiritual enter into this? What do we contemplate is going on in the minds of the spiritual dimension as they watch all of this going on in our world? Is any of the new that's happening surprising to them? Is the human action and response an old story to those who have watched it in action throughout history? How many stories do we have of those who downplayed, even denied the reality of COVID-19, only to get the virus or have one in the family get it or even die? Boy, do they start telling a different story right away. Isn't it true that it often takes a big blow to get our attention? We describe it as a wake-up call. These wake-up calls we thank God for if that's what it takes to really get our attention. Most of the time, this dramatic way of finally seeing something has done what it was meant to do. But it would have been a lot easier if we would have learned in a better way and not gone through so much. These really difficult times and new thought are teachers and instructors. A different part of history is a place where we're learning lessons. And we're learning a lot of lessons right now. We're having a lot of things happen that we should be picking up that which is going to help us change and become a much better country, a much better government. How many parents tell their children to be careful only to find themselves comforting a hurt child who did not listen to what was said? The warning went unheeded, but the fall did not. Adults and even a society learns the same way. We trip and fall, then get up and all too often do it again. It seems to take a really huge fall for a government to get bruised enough to give attention to what has to be dealt with. Are the falls being taken now in our country going to get our nation's attention? Are the things that are happening in the world going to get the world's attention? Certainly hope so. What is important for us to realize and know big time is that even if general groups like society do not learn, we can ourselves. Even if in a family the members are not wise with their life choices, the individuals that are a part of those families can. There's always collateral ramifications we can't escape when included in the mix of a larger group. But individually, we can retain our own peace and composure. It is so good we are above being just here in whatever situation we're in that we can actually control and rise above and be ourselves in that situation, no matter what it is. When working with children having bad dreams, I found a very successful way to help. It was to have the child, when waking up, finish the dream in a way that the child would like it to be. If you're falling off a cliff, you see wings open up from a backpack you're carrying, and you float off in safety. If you're in a car going down a steep hill like in San Francisco, and the brakes go out, and you see yourself tearing down the hill, you push a button, wings come out of the car, and you lift up and simply float and fly off above the traffic. This treatment has been very, very effective, and bad dreams stop happening when this was applied regularly. This is not far from the way we maybe can imagine the finishing up of some of the seemingly out of control things happening to us right now, where we're not sure how it's going to wind up. We can't see any good way. But what if we turn our imaginations loose to good ways that we might be able to create in our thinking? And we let this imagination move out like it can bring it into the presence that we are in. This kind of visioning is a big thing in New Thought, because we somehow feel that our thoughts are a part of creating what takes place around us. So if a lot of us together can create imaginations of how this can turn out to be really well, this can be a big thing and very helpful. Certainly helpful to us as individuals. We need to let God place in our minds pictures of everything being corrected and working smoothly. This is the vision, and it will occur. Thank you, God. And so it is.
spirit, see, I feel, live as spirit in the presence of God. I am spirit, I am spirit, I am spirit, see, I feel, live as spirit.